welcome back to the Common Corner, or welcome to the Common Corner if you haven't been here before. So a week ago I posted my first sort of take on my analog archiving practice within the Hobonichi, and it was supposed to be a video for my sisters who turned 18. They're twins and they turned 18 last week, and I wanted to post something for them so that they can sort of tune in a little bit more deeply into their own journal practice, maybe get a few tips from me. We live in separate countries, so I wasn't able to celebrate with them, but I know that they've been wanting to have sort of some company from me to journal with, because usually if I go visit them back home, we often journal together, and this is a practice that we share and connect over. So that was my sort of little small present for them. And then I mentioned it to like two friends who I have been blabbering about this stuff to for like 9 months now. I don't really have a community within my sort of close circle in the country that I live in, a journal community, if you will, but I sort of how to put it, so I do talk about it to a couple of people, but they don't themselves practice this way of archiving life. So it was a really big surprise then to post that video starting with 0 subscribers and then having 165 humans join me on this channel. And then there's multiple lovely humans who commented on that video and warmly welcomed me into the Hobonichi, into the journaling community on YouTube. And I felt so incredibly grateful and like warm from that kind of welcome. I always feel like I was like held in the arms of this community almost. I'm a bit dramatic, so that's how I genuinely felt. So welcome to all 165 of you. I hope that most of you will get to see this one, as it's a little bit of a continuation from the last video. So yes, let's get going, and maybe next week Sunday I'm gonna post like right again, just hear how many people have joined the community. And I think it's gonna be quite a nice like continuation that I'll get to see as I flip through the pages in half a year's time, because as a reminder, this book is composed of 6 months worth of daily pages. so yeah. All right, so this week let's zoom out a little bit and look at what happened. So as we can see here, it was quite a busy week actually. The things outlined in red, as can be seen from the previous week as well, are like social and personal kind of agenda. Not that much happened today this week, because I was very ill starting from the beginning, and it was difficult to be unwell while still having such a busy schedule, and I ended up sort of like attending all of these different sessions at medical school. I'm saying I was unwell. I'm not having a flu or anything like that, but I've had some trouble with my tonsils for like a month now, and that sort of had a flare up in the beginning of the week, and so I've had some trouble talking, but I'm still doing it now because of how much I wanted to continue sharing. So yeah, so we can see that I've had a very busy week here, and that very much reflects on my daily pages, and I use them in a very certain way this week because of sort of my inability to feel completely comfortable within my body, because it's a little bit in pain. So we can kind of see that, and this week I actually had my first day of this year that I didn't journal, which was on Wednesday. So yeah, let's start from the beginning, from Monday of this week, which is just here. This is all I did from that day. I had a long 9 to 5, a very busy day of learning how to like take bloods from people, how to put a cannula in and give people fluids. So as a reminder, I'm in medical school, so this is the kind of things that we learn. So I had a long 9 to 5, was kind of exhausted and also started to feel a little bit more unwell. So I only journaled in the evening. I went back in the next day when I had a bit more time to kind of lay out a bit of work on that reflects how exactly I was feeling, and that helps me come to terms with it. That helps me move on from that day. And then even now coming back in and having a look at Monday, I know I wasn't well, and I know that me sort of physically not feeling well affects my mind quite a bit as well. But it almost feels reassuring to come back to this and then know that, oh, I was able to go through that day, and I'm now sort of on the other side of the week. It's Sunday now, and everything ended up being okay. These lovely stickers, you're gonna continue seeing the common theme, which is illustrations from Megan Rhiannon, who I tagged in last week's video and will also in this one, because I think you deserve to know who it is that gives me these illustrations. So they are just from her shop that I printed out and then cut out and glued here. They're a continuous pattern in my books. And then I had this little drawing here that gives me some warmth that I made then the next day. All right. The next day I had a chance to tune in a little bit earlier. I was at uni, but I had a coffee break in the library and I sort of tuned in. And actually something I wanted to tap on was that you can see that everything is written in 2 columns. And I very much used to not do that when I first started my practice about 9 months ago. So last May, in the beginning of last year's May 2023, which is when I used to write through the whole page. And I actually had a lot of trouble keeping up with my daily pages at that point because I felt like there was such a huge page always waiting for me and I needed to really fill it, and it was difficult to keep writing those long lines. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I have my old journal here. So this is the one from August. Well, July, but in my last week's video I mentioned that I only started this in August. I only found Hobonichi in August of 2023. So if we go to the August bit of this book, oh, that's September. I clearly did not have this ready. All right, so here, yeah, I have a couple of pages ready now. So here you can see that I'm writing through the whole page. And still within August, I'm writing through the whole page, which is what mostly is happening. And I remember I actually backfilled like almost all of this because I got sort of to this burnout very quickly where I felt like there was so much to write every day, and I was sort of approaching my daily practice from like, in the beginning I remember being in this book because there was a page a day and I had never done that before. It was very overwhelming, a little bit. At the times that I felt overwhelmed, it felt very overwhelming to have to fill a page a day, and I needed to keep coming back to myself and reminding myself I do not have to fill a page per day. And then what ended up happening, I left quite a bit of these blank. I put these memories and these little receipts that I had collected from this holiday at the end of August, and then I went in and filled in. But I realized very quickly that if I only write in this sort of quite a narrow column, it feels a lot easier and my thought flow flows a lot more naturally, and the writing just happens. And I started to take that on a little bit more as time went on. I didn't quite realize it, but it was on the back of my mind, and subconsciously then I started to use this invisible line that Hobonichi has in his Techo books. You can see that just here. I started to use that as my one column, and then the next, a bit broader one, as my second column, which often does have a margin, so it makes it a little bit narrower, if that makes sense. So in about November of 23, I had already started to all the time have my writing in 2 columns, like continuously in 2 columns, as you can see here. So that is now what is happening here, and I write it I find it very easy to write quite a bit, and I quite enjoy the pattern that happens, which is that in the beginning of the day I make my little mark of when I first tapped in, where I am and what sort of the situation is and what the weather is, so on, and I tap in for the first time how I'm feeling, if I have any worries for the upcoming day, etc. And then I usually tap in the second time in the evening, which is when I have sort of my brain full of the things that happened during the day, and I really to find solace in filling that whole wider column. If I find that my brain's a little bit stuck and I don't think that I can fill in the page in a satisfying manner, I often have these margins that I can then write some additional notes in, and that helps sort of create the page in like a way that looks structured and nice. And my brain works in a very structured and certain way, so I have these own little rules for my daily pages where sometimes there is a margin, sometimes there isn't, and the margin's used in different ways, etc. But I just wanted to highlight these columns, which you can see. And even on Wednesday, when I had a big rest day, I stayed in bed for most of the day, and did not even touch my journal, did not tap into it at all, which I wish I had, because I'm very curious now to have read my thoughts specifically from that day when I wasn't feeling my best. But I backfilled it today, and again I did it into two columns because I just find that so much easier than just having to write in this big block. So yeah, on Tuesday I did see Poor Things in the cinema. The Barbican is one of my favorite places to go see new movies. I highly recommend if you happen to be in London. And oh, it was beautiful. If you can see this, I'm not sure if you can, please do pause and read it. It sort of spoils my thoughts about it a little bit, but if you haven't seen it, definitely don't read it and go see it. This rated 18 though, so keep that in mind. Rating for 0.5 out of 5. I make these little stars using the stencil from, oh, it's always difficult to pick up, this stencil from Hobonichi, just that one there. It's part of their tools and toys collection, very good, and I use it as a ruler as well, and I usually keep it at the back of my book here. Alright, so Wednesday went a little bit in a haze. Thursday and Friday, again, full 9 to 5 days of uni, and not much time at all. Not much time, but a lot of thoughts. So whenever I did have a chance to write, I did that. I did that exactly. I wrote a lot. And sometimes these pages, like when there's a lot of writing, doesn't feel quite like me, because as you can see, like I often like to have little bits of myself in these pages, little decorations, etc., so that they feel a little bit more filled with memories and stuff. But it's okay if this happens as well. They are still interesting pieces to read back on later on. I have a bit of thing here to let myself rest, because I remember I wasn't feeling too well. Yeah, and then I had played some Animal Crossing a bit more so this week because I've been resting. I'm playing it on the Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm playing the Animal Crossing New Horizons game on the Nintendo Switch Lite, which is the Animal Crossing version of it. I might show it in the next video because I've done a bit of decorating on my device and it looks quite cute, so I might show that. But I did a little drawing of Tom Nook, who's one of the characters in the game. Just here, just to remind myself that I've played the game this week. Yeah, and then comes the weekend. So something that's quite interesting, which is what I've enjoyed using these timestamps that I've for the first time started to really use in this year's book. So I did not have these timestamps in my previous books. So why I really enjoy them is that I can really see if I've had a day where I've been in tune with myself or not. Because the days that I have been in tune with myself, I tend to first tap into the book in the morning or during the like noon time. So for example, on Thursday when I had been extremely exhausted and not feeling my greatest, I first only tapped in at 10 p.m. Whereas the next day when it was a sunny day, I was energized, I was fulfilled. I already like first wrote during the daytime in the park bench in the sunlight. And same thing during this weekend. So yesterday I wrote 11 p.m. at my bed feeling sorry for myself. I had had a difficult day because my tonsils had really gotten quite painful yesterday, and I finally managed to pick up an antibiotic for them. So until I started to take the medication, I had sort of just rested in my bed. But being an active person who goes to medical school and does a lot of other things on the side, I enjoy doing all of those things. But yesterday I couldn't really get up to anything except then like making soup for myself. There's a little soup sticker here. Um, it was difficult and it was really cold in London and I didn't feel like going outside. So it wasn't the easiest, but then I went back in today and I added this picture, which is from the Barbican. Not taken by me, but it's from the Barbican magazine that you can pick up for free at the Barbican Centre in London. And I put it there just to like kind of bring a little bit of warmth onto this page from yesterday, where the day itself wasn't physically or mentally warm. Yeah. And then today, I tapped in earlier. I'm feeling a little bit better. I want to do some nice things for myself today, and I was excited to talk to this community, this very little community. I'm just excited that there are some humans who really sort of tuned in last week and heard what I was saying and felt inspired. So, again, thank you for that. I'm a bit overwhelmed from it in the most positive way, and I'm excited to have this little group of people who I can talk to on a daily basis. Which then, of course, includes my sisters, who I initially intended to make these videos for. But yeah, that kind of concludes my week and the little things that I've noticed. Um, I'm planning to have a good mix of sort of these free flowing thoughts within my videos of what I've noticed and what I'm finding helpful within my daily practice. All of these texts that you can see here are just free flow of thoughts. Whatever first comes to my mind, I start to write about. And having done this now for about 9 months, with a good combination of commonplacing as well, that requires a whole other video. This is my little commonplace notebook, which has a lot of other things than just my daily thoughts. So I've done this combination of journaling and commonplacing almost on a daily basis, for 9 months now. And even though in my sort of daily practice, these pages, I don't really have a certain intention that I want to write about some specific thing, and I usually just go with it on a very intuitive way. But I'm starting to find so much peace within being able to externalize my thoughts into these pages. And I really recommend to just go for it for anyone who's thinking what to write about. Just go for the first thing that comes to your mind and flow from there, because at the end, it's this is a little bit cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. It's about showing up for yourself, and just having that timestamp, even if it's, I don't know, 11:59 p.m., just before midnight on a Saturday, for example. It's still very important that you showed up, and you should applaud yourself for that. Yeah. So what I was about to say is that I'll include these kind of reflections within my videos, with a combination of um, giving you the opportunity to journal alongside with me, which is going to be the second part of this video. I might post some of those journal with me where there isn't much of talking, but we'll just be existing side by side and doing our own things as an individual video. I'm not sure yet, but I'm enjoying sort of this experimentation of thoughts that I'm having at the moment. And also, there was a couple of people that did request the flip through of my old journal, because actually I would love to show you the difference between this massive girl, this big one, this chunky one, compared to then my current one. Let me take my pen out of the way. Can you see the difference of that? So this is the current one. Actually, this is not even included. Wait, let me do this properly. So this here is my current journal. This here is my previous one. They're both 6 months. But it bulks up quite a bit, and yes, I got some interest in a full flip through of this one, and you'll really see like a evolution within it that then has led me to the like system that I've started to now fully embrace within this new book. So I would love to do that as well. I think it's gonna be like a one video in itself. And then, as I've said, I started it 9 months ago. So before this book, there was 3 months worth of sort of content, and where I was really figuring it out for the first time. So I might do one where I pull back my own old journals as well and sort of talk through them a little bit. Anyway, all of this is just blabbering now. I'm going to leave that there, and enjoy going back in time with me before these pages didn't yet exist, and I'm sort of filling them in with you. And I hope you enjoy your Sunday or the day that you're viewing this on. Um, let's be kind to ourselves and forgiving to ourselves, even if our habits don't always go as we expect, and so on. Just like with me, I had a day where I couldn't happen, and that's completely okay. And it sort of teaches us always something new, and I'm grateful for that. I'm going to write a letter to my pen pal today or tomorrow, but I have the intention here, and I'm gonna sort of do a little bit of planning what I'm gonna write, and enjoy a quite calm Sunday. So until next time, bye bye.